Good afternoon, Numi Nation. This is episode 21 of New Minds TV. We are a month plus in, and we love jamming with the world in this way and kind of interacting, creating programming and conversation and insight that's relevant and poignant. And here's the thing, it has to align with our metric of what we call real inspired learning. It's like in our DNA, it's in our why. If you are familiar with Simon Sinek and his concept, his book, Start With Why, that's really important to us. And we went through the process, not when we were born back in 2013. This is something that came a little bit later, is Justin and I, co-founder, we went back a few years in after we'd kind of come across Simon Sinek's work. And asked ourselves, okay, so Simon Sinek has this concept called the golden circle, right? That every great enterprise, whether it's a business or an individual or a change maker in history, has their golden circle. Here's the golden circle, right? In the very center is their why. Like, what's their reason for existing, right? And then the next layer of that concentric circle is the how. So how are they going to approach and interact with the world coming from that center, from that why? And then finally is the what, is that outer layer. And too often we start backwards when we're moving forward in an enterprise, and we start with the what. That's kind of like the external, the temporary manifestation of whatever is skillful in that moment. And we forget that it really comes down to the why, right? So right now, what does New Minds Enrichment do? Right now we do newminds.tv. Did we do that 2 months ago? No, it didn't even exist. It hadn't even been conceived of yet. It's amazing. A few months ago, what were we doing? We were doing after school enrichment and Saturday special programs and spring brain breaks and getting ready for our amazing summer camp pursuit. And then the world changed. And here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about being in touch with your why is the world can change, and your why can sort of like pivot and like remanifest. So if all we were summer camps and after school enrichment, and the world changed like this, we'd have to hang up the towel and say, okay, we're done. Mr. T just chimed in. Spontaneous captions, that is a new feature. So this is the first day that I've streamed with this new Facebook live streamer. They upgraded the software, and it looks like live captioning is one of those things. We'll have to give it a grade on spelling and accuracy. But here's the beautiful thing. When you're in sync and in touch with your why, you can, in a healthy way, pivot and find a new way to manifest that. And for us, that was New Minds TV. So we asked ourselves, okay, the 3D world has just disappeared. Kind of, mostly. What can we do that's in alignment with our why of real inspired learning? Whoa, the answer was right in front of us in a way, right? We took it online. We took it to newminds.tv, and that's where you find us today. So, little opener there, to kind of like try to place you somewhere in that context as well. Like, where are you in terms of identifying with your why that could be a support for you in this moment? Because that's what I want to talk about today is, we're in a knot. Collectively, at a planetary level, we're in a knot right now, like never before in our lifetimes, right? And individually, we're the microcosm of that. Like, I know, I can kind of feel the world around me and the people around me, and I know that we're all kind of in this place where we feel like a little bit stuck and knotted up, and all the old rules and systems, all the solutions that we had for those old rules and systems are like null and void and gone. And so we're not really sure how to move forward. We're kind of stuck. We've got these tools that were designed for a completely different environment. And by tools, I mean psychological tools, productivity tools, relating tools. We have these built up from a lifetime of working in a completely different context. And I think a lot of us are getting to like a frustration point. And, we're not sure like how to, because we're wired to solve problems, right? We're wired to solve problems. Culturally, most cultures, Western culture in particular, favors like super proactive, aggressive problem solving, right? Sort of this entrepreneurial westward expansion sort of mentality, like let's conquer, let's conquer, let's conquer, right? And we're in a moment, folks, where we've been conquered. Can we just put it that way? Like Mother Nature has absolutely conquered us, in our tracks. We're caged in a way, right? And if you've been reading a lot of the brilliant essays going around right now, you'll see like I'm just echoing, the thinking of many others that, it's what a signal, what a shout from our own planet about like, hey, hey, there's your place. You calm down a little bit. So these old tools, these aggressive tools we have in our toolkit for confronting these problems that we, have been using for years and years are kind of like not working anymore. So we're stuck. And so here's what I'm putting out there today. I'm absolutely not saying don't be a problem solver. I'm not saying don't get creative and innovative. But what I'm saying is first, before you can do that, you need to kind of get the message from the moment. And right now, what that requires is for you to not untangle the knot for just a moment. And instead, there's a visionary artist that I really love. His name is Alex Gray. If you go to alexgray.com, you'll see some of this amazing sort of like psychedelic stuff that he does. And he has this phrase and this painting that's kind of like pretty intense, right? It's pretty psychedelic and out there, but it is a knot, right? But the knot has eyeballs on it. The knot is sentient. And he has this quote that he says with it. He's like, don't untangle the knot, become the knot. In order to get to the root of the problem, you kind of have to become the knot. You kind of have to be the eyeballs on the knot, if you will, to really see deeply into the problem. That's how you'll eventually untangle it. So, and there's this ironic twist too, and that is if we aggressively and desperately try to undo the knot and wriggle our way out of it, we can end up knotting it even tighter. So what I'm saying right now, my little mini message for today is to calm down and take a breath and just don't struggle. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to, solve world peace today. Don't try to, settle all your relationship frictions right now, whether that's work or home, productivity, let it go. Just for a moment, just sit there in the knot. Just sit there in the knot, because you're not going to get through it unless you get the message from the moment, right? Coming back to what I said a second ago. And to do that, you have to just become the knot for a minute. Like, just listen. And I mean this in the most philosophical, spiritual way, as well as the most practical, sort of like microcosmic sort of way, right? Like, we're all there, right? We're all in this together. And that's the interesting thing. Normally, at any given time, like some people have hardships, and you can really empathize with them. But you look at a huge other portion of the population, they're doing great, everything's fine. This is one of those rare cases where we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, we're all worried about our jobs. We're all worried about our income. We're all worried about health and security, right? So it's like, whoa, the human boat is pretty big. It fits all of us. Here we all are. We're all kind of at this individual level, kind of like in this knot. And so what can we learn from this? Nothing until we just stop for a moment. Message of the day. I'm just, coming at it from some different angles to make sure we hear it in different ways. But it's okay. It's like, let go. Let go of all the productivity, all the problem solving, all the relationship fixing and building for just a moment, and just let it sit. Be the knot. That's the only thing you can do. Just breathe into the knot. Breathe into the knot. Sounds like a yoga pose, right? And in a way, this is one giant asana, right? We're in one giant asana right now, collectively and individually. So I want to show you some visual inspiration too, because I think sometimes we're feeling ourselves in this chaos, right? Not chaos, right? Kind of synonymous, right? So what I want to try to put out there for you is the possibility, the faint possibility, that it's actually not chaotic at all. That in fact, there's a deep cosmic order embedded in all of this. And I don't necessarily mean just planetarily. I mean, even at the level of your life. The metaphor I'm going to share to kind of try to get that message across a little bit is this artist. If you've ever checked out my webinar called Beauty of Imperfect, I have a couple slides dedicated to this guy because he mesmerizes me. So I'm going to switch screens for just a minute, and I want to show you some of his work. So this is, let me get over where I can see a little better. So his name is Rashad Alakbarov, and I think he's from Azerbaijan. He's this really interesting artist, and he works in some different media, but his sculptures are what really rock my world. I mean, here's the concept. The sculpture itself might be made of sticks or little cut shards of colored glass or wires, and they just look like a pile of stuff. They just look like a pile of stuff that you would not take for anything. It might be one of those things that you're walking through the gallery and you kind of like give it a little side eye and a snarl, like, art, right? The stuff that passes for art. I could do that. Right? Sort of that dismissive attitude that we have when we don't deeply understand what's really happening in the art, in the piece. But I want you to look at this. Look at some of these pieces, and here's the magic. When you shine light into his sculptures, projected onto the wall is the most beautiful, unexpected order. And it's absolutely fascinating. I take this as a metaphor for so many things. And right now I just want you to like soak this in for a moment as this slideshow goes through. And just kind of imagine this. Like sometimes it feels like this knot we're in is just like this knot of sticks that Rashad Alakbarov has presented to us as a sculpture. And we might look at it just like we might look at our present moment in life and be a little dismissive and be a little frustrated and like feel out of control. But what I'm suggesting is, what if we just stopped and let the light shine, project through us? I wonder what is projecting onto the wall over here, right? Isn't that absolutely fascinating to ponder for just a moment? So thanks for going there with me. And there's one other quote I want to show you, again from my Beauty of Imperfect webinar. This is from probably my favorite psychologist, Jung. He says, in all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. Yes, that's my kind of thinking, my kind of psychologist and philosopher. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. It's like we can embrace it, or we can lose the battle. And that's interesting. And that's going to bring me to my final point for today. And I'll come back to my full view. So, there's an author, I'm a literature major, right? So I have lots of quotes and things kind of floating through. So I can't attribute this one, unfortunately. But the quote goes something like this: in a battle between you and the universe, always bet on the universe, right? Like, it's a dubious battle to try to, untangle the entire cosmos, unless you take this approach that we're talking about, where you just kind of settle, stop struggling with the knot and become the knot and kind of see what's there for you. I feel like we're in this moment where, prior to this, the overriding mentality was what we call the art of war. A lot of you are probably familiar with that famous work, The Art of War, Sun Tzu. And, it's kind of a metaphor and analogy, and it's also kind of literal about, how to win battle, how to, outmaneuver opponents psychologically and physically, and sort of that mentality I was talking about earlier about solving problems, like owning the world, dominating the world, right? That's the art of war. Now I think we're in this moment of the art of peace. Of course I have this on my bookshelf, right? So the art of peace, Ushiba is, I kind of consider this as the counter to the art of war, right? And this is the originator of, Aikido. Sometimes I hear it referred to as Apkido, a martial art. And this is all about kind of the opposite, kind of winning the battle and conquering the world by doing the opposite of what we think. So I'm just going to read a couple of quotes from a couple of pages. Mr. T, thank you very much. Mr. T's, when I was talking about Mother Earth earlier, Mother Earth, Father Sky, the message from them is snap out of it. Absolutely. I've been feeling that from the beginning, Mr. T. And I think a lot of people are coming to see it that way. As like, there's some big time messaging going on right here. And so just a couple of passages and in true form, and echoing back to episode 1 of New Minds TV, I swear I did just open this randomly to see like what gems might come, because it's kind of written in like little, almost like 1-page stanzas. So here's what I got. The art of peace is the principle of non-resistance. Because it is non-resistant, it is victorious from the beginning. Those with evil intentions or contentious thoughts are instantly vanquished. The art of peace is invincible because it contends with nothing. Don't untie the knot, right? Non-resistance. It doesn't mean you're surrendering necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're losing to the moment. It doesn't mean that you won't, evolve and solve your problems. You will. It's just a different approach, just a different take. And one more, the opposite page. It's the double pager I opened to. There are no contests in the art of peace. A true warrior is invincible because he or she contests with nothing. Defeat means to defeat the mind of contention that we harbor within. Ooh. Could it be that this old mentality of contention that was like the predominant force, prior to all this, win, earn, do, right? It was about conquering. It was about the art of war, right? Could it be that this moment of embracing non-contention is the balance that we need, that we're looking for, so that when we do break through, and we have, some of my team members have been calling it the lift. I think some writers have been calling it the lift. When we do have the lift and we're kind of through to the next moment, it's not an all or nothing. It's not like an on-off binary switch. It's like we're getting the best of both. We can take the lessons, the deep lessons from this moment, and balance out the art of war that were mastering before, right? We can balance out the cooperation with nature, right? And not the conquering of nature, etc. So wow, to be honest, up until, a few minutes before end of day, I just wasn't sure exactly what I was going to chat about today. And then it just kind of settled in. I took my own advice and I just settled into the knot, and I didn't try to untie it. And I, kind of got some ideas about what seemed like a poignant message for today. So we have Miss Jessie from Lebanon on. We have Jesus, a wonderful artist, on right now live. I hope you guys are enjoying the message. So what's gonna happen on New Minds TV? It's changing by the moment. We have a lot to keep moving forward with, to increase the impact. So what you'll see soon are some special announcements about events coming up, some virtual events coming up from New Minds, some slight changes to our programming, just to make it as relevant and hard-hitting as possible. Some more, even bigger, exciting things about the summer that you'll be hearing soon. So things are just moving tremendously. In this particular show, I'm going to begin bringing in more people to interview, experts and thought leaders with insights about different aspects, whether it's education, wellness, academics, psychology, whatever it might be. I'm going to start bringing in some more guests. So if you have anyone to refer, I would love to hear from you, and we'll try to get them on the show and try to make this a forum for conversation. While I do enjoy this opportunity and this platform to share, my own ideas, it's really, I feel like right now we're experiencing a lot of people like talking at us, not in a negative way. It's just by the very nature, thought leaders have taken to the airstreams, to the airwaves, to share their own insights. And so there's a lot of, messaging coming at us. And I noticed that one thing we're kind of missing is our conversations, where we're sort of like privy to a conversation, a dynamic conversation. I think there's a lot of value in that. It's a little bit more organic, maybe, and spontaneous. That's what I'd like to bring to the end of day show. So we might even rebrand it just a little bit and make it more kind of a forum for exchanges and conversations. So keep that in mind. And thanks for the comments, Mr. T. Yes, Mr. T's dropping the wisdom along with me here about kind of slowing down, not struggling in the quicksand. Stop, quiet, slow will give you a way out. Yeah. So he's just kind of echoing and reinforcing the not imagery there. So wonderful episode 21 today. We had Mr. Justin start the day outdoors in a stream. Not sorry. He wasn't literally in a stream. But it made me think of a meme that I saw online this weekend where there was some guy sitting next to a stream staring at it, and someone asked him, "Hey, Rob, what are you doing?" "I'm just watching a live stream." I wanted to crack that joke during Mr. Justin's live stream because he was literally next to a live stream. But sorry for the dad jokes, but I had to get something in there. All right, guys, have a fantastic evening. We'll see you for episode 22 of newminds.tv. Keep it real and inspired. Keep pursuing your passion. Make it your talent. I'll see you folks tomorrow.